Good morning, my name's Kevin Murphy from Mindwater Global. Recently, myself and our co-director were in Qatar talking to the Qatari government there about treating their seawater, which they use for desalination. The demonstration we did was exactly as I'm about to show you, because it's the most amazing thing we've developed. There we go. There we have some seawater, which is from here in Bowen, right, but it's still similar water. But with that, you can see it's quite clear. And with that, the catalyst that we developed, called Catalyst 365, is also clear. But when I put our catalyst in that seawater, you'll notice something very unusual occurs. The seawater turns milky. There we go. And what that is, our catalyst reacts with all the 47 dissolved metals that are in seawater. And these metals are what causes the clogging of a reverse osmosis membrane. And to explain that, clear water, imagine that being a microscopic hole in the membrane, clear water will pass through very easily. But minerals block the membrane. So by taking the minerals out of the water, your throughput is about 4 times greater than for the same amount of energy what they're currently getting from seawater. So this has a very important application all through the Gulf region and for any country which uses desalination. By taking those minerals out, you get about 4 times the production of fresh water as what you would for the same amount of energy, or conversely, about a 40% reduction in the energy required to produce the fresh water. But there's something rather interesting about this. Those minerals that are precipitating out there, they are recoverable, and this is the first time scientists have been trying for 200 years to work out how to get magnesium out of seawater. Well, that magnesium is represented in that white sediment, and if you take that magnesium out, treat it with, which by the way, when you dry that out, that's what you end up with, this powder. And it produces about 5 tonne of this powder per megalitre of seawater. Now, it's well known there's 1.3 tonne of magnesium in every million litres of seawater. So with this represents quite a valuable resource for the recovery of those metals. And it's been known for a long time the Japanese were recovering uranium out of seawater. But this residue also contains lithium, copper, tin, and we've got an R&D program. We're working through how to recover each of those metals. But with this, there's something interesting, and I'll come back to this in another little video after this one on recovering those metals. But I'd like to show you something interesting about this. I'm going to take some of this water out of here. Right, it hasn't completely settled yet, but it'll do for the purpose of the demonstration. And I'm just adding a little battery to this. This is the little 9-volt battery, and I'll move this into shot. Just give me 1 second. Put that there so you may be able to see that. What's happening on the cathode of that battery, it's producing hydrogen, absolutely pure hydrogen. And what it is, it turns out this clear water, after we've taken those minerals out of the water, it's perfectly suited for producing hydrogen, because it's those minerals which cause all the scale to build up on the anode, which very quickly prevents the production of hydrogen if you're using straight seawater. So this, with the minerals removed, has an enormous capacity to produce hydrogen, and Qatar particularly, because they're in the gas business, they have the ability there to compress it, freeze it, liquefy it, and also to ship it around the world. And this is of great interest to the Qatari government. And it could be applied to other countries as well. So by using our catalyst, one, you're getting a much higher throughput of fresh water, or a great energy reduction. You're recovering the minerals out of the seawater, which I'll come to shortly, and you can also use that water for producing hydrogen gas, which there's quite a large market in the world for that now. So that's basically what we're talking about over there. But the biggest issue over in Qatar, every one of those RO plants, and there's 7 countries drawing water out of the Persian Gulf. Out of every 400 million litres, they extract 300 million litres of fresh water, but 100 million litres are returned back into the Persian Gulf, and these salinity levels are increasing substantially. By removing these salts out of it, there is no brine going back into the Persian Gulf. So it has an enormous environmental impact as well, because in fullness of time, as the salinity levels increase, it's going to be detrimental to marine life there, and maybe over the next 50 or 100 years, it may end up a completely void of, resources like the Dead Sea up in Jordan. But there's some important aspects here, and the funny part is, when you recover the metals out of here, particularly the magnesium, the cost of producing fresh water is zero. It covers all your power, labour and infrastructure costs. So Qatar will get their fresh water for free just by selling the magnesium. But anyway, it's an interesting project. If you have any comments or would like to contact us, please feel free to do so. Thank you for your time. Kevin.